Ukraine war. This has to be discussed because for the past few months we have been witnessing already the world is devastated by pandemic and present scenario of the war. Of course, we may think that what will happen with the war that is happening in Russia and Ukraine. You know, already war, it doesn't mean killing people, killing soldiers. It's not only that. It is a part of killing, and it's deaths are a part of war. But apart from that, there are so many other consequences. Because if you see sometimes politicians saying why prices are rising here for essential commodities, then the question comes because of the war. So it causes some economic crisis. So there are people who were struggling because of the pandemic and because of the war, because of the political scenario. So to discuss all these, we have very special guests. Let me introduce before starting this program. Let me start with Dr. Supriya Kumaravelan, a highly intelligent personality, international speaker, Toastmaster, communication and leadership coach, expert, soft skills trainer, and keynote speaker. Having a presence in this program make it a better way to see the world in the perspective of peace. Our second guest, Professor Dr. Anuja Malik, content writer, international speaker, moderator, certified communication coach, former deputy manager at Reliance Communications Private Limited, multiple global award winner, budding Toastmaster. So having Professor Dr. Anuja Malik presents, certainly it would justify the today topic. And we have one more person, Supriya Prakash. She is an author, filmmaker, international motivational speaker, clinical psychologist, TV panelist, founder at KSLC and PPI. So these are the three women leaders that we have today to discuss war and peace. So let us start with the casual question. Why peace? Why should we talk about peace? Actually, when we are talking about the peace, the importance of the peace is known to the people, those who are living in the borders.
Yeah.
Nearby the borders.
Am I audible?
So we are a bit far away from it. We may not experience it, but it is very important. The peace is very, because if you see the Palestina, what is happening in Palestina or what is happening in Middle East and present what is happening in Russia and Ukraine, it's really very pathetic. So we should discuss why peace is important. So let us start with our guest, Anuja Malik. Ji, over to you. We want to hear from you the importance of peace.
Thank you so much, Dr. Raja Rao, for the invite, first of all, and thank you for the lovely introduction. So as we are discussing war versus peace, so the question is, why is world peace so important? So when we hear about war, we think of something really far away, and it's like movie-like. We might think it is fun because we have never experienced one, but war is real and has many consequences. People lose their belongings, their families, their lives, and everything they know. Those that survive have to choose between living in fear and suffering because they are surrounded by violence or abandoning everything that they know. Even their families and risking everything so they can hopefully move to another country or some other place. So this drama that seems so far away to us is the daily, reality of many people in conflict zones. That is why it is so important to attain world peace and make peace in conflict zones. Not only there is always a better way to resolve conflict than creating war, fighting and suffering for the citizens, but also, just a second.
Yes, Dr. Supriya ji, what do you say about
what happened? Yes, Anuja, you can continue. Yes.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So that is why it is so important to attain world peace and make peace in conflict zones. Not only there is always a better way to resolve conflict than creating war, fighting and suffering for the citizens, but also conflict creates a lot of instability and fear in the areas where it happens. Consequences like lack of food and water, economic difficulties, a loss of a great amount of people among many others create a big problem, not only in the countries where the conflict happens, but in many other areas who need to hurry to gather resources to help those people that they sometimes can't properly help because they don't have the means. So, putting those who want to help in a very complicated and difficult situation, where they have to make a hard choice themselves. So, all in all, we can say conflict and war are both realities that are very painful and complicated for those living in them, and they have terrible, long-lasting effects in the countries where it happens, and also in those wanting to help and the surrounding area also. So, to stop the difficulties that these people are suffering and prevent further problems, it is important peace. So here I justify the question. Now I think over to Dr. Supriya. Thank you.
Thank you, Anuja, for your great and insightful points, and I reciprocate the same. And I would like to answer, but with my question, as usual. Where is the time to war and hate when there is so little time for peace and love? And war doesn't determine who is right or who is wrong. War says only one thing: who is left after the devastation. So we can say peace is that much important in our life, whether you are talking about your mental peace or your surrounding peace, that the particular thing determines your country. And we all are gathered here for talking such a serious topic. But this topic is sensitive, but at the same time, peace is very, very important, because if we are talking about a war point of view, then always remember, but most of the people are having only one confusion, or you can say a myth. A true soldier fights. He hates what is in front of him, but because he loves what is behind him. So war should not be taken into a very negative form. We are protecting ourselves, and protecting yourself, your family is the first foremost duty. But why war? My question is, with every three of the dignitaries, eminent personalities who are with me on this platform, why war? Why can't we think something positive? And it has been said, our mind is the most powerful thing. We have created the computer, not computer has created us. So living in peace is about living harmoniously with yourself first, others, and of course, make your surroundings very powerful, very positive. Your ambience should be when peaceful. I don't think so. There is a need of war. We talk about today conflict management. When we have such brilliant mind of solving the problem, solving the conflict, then I think if we talk about little bit of peace, prosperity, generosity, there is no need of talking war, because war, if we just reciprocate it, it is raw, R-A-W, and that is not fruitful. So, when we are talking on this platform about peace, prosperity, and of course war, if we bring the positive part, that is peace, prosperity, then the word negative also become the positive. So as I said, a true soldier fights not because he hates what is in front of him, but because he loves what is behind him. So it's all about your perspective of seeing the war, seeing the peace. Try to think positive and see the things in a very, very positive manner, and everything will be sorted out in a very systematic manner. So I would pass my dice to Ma'am.
Pallavi Prakash, ma'am, right?
Yeah, Pallavi ji, and would love to hear you too.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. Supriya, for passing the dais on to me. A very good evening to my respected dignitaries, Dr. Raja Rao, Times India TV. At the onset, as I'm known for, appreciation is the keyword. I'm known for appreciating the positive vibes in life. So let me appreciate Times India TV for the enormous efforts which it has been taking since couple of months through various programs which sensitize not only masses but also global leaders. So my heartiest congratulations for that. Today we are on the table to discuss a very, very sensitive, I agree with my co-panelist, but important issue. How world peace is important to us? That is first question. As I'm known for, speaking from my heart, so as a global speaker, let me voice my take on it. For me, world peace is like oxygen. As simple as that. It is inevitable for existence. We cannot do it. When I say oxygen, I'm sure all you over the entire globe who connect with me through my regular programs, they can understand the importance, the high priority, and the sensitivity towards it. So it is indeed like oxygen. We cannot do without it. The reasons are many. Number one, world peace makes people contribute to cultural exchanges. People are able to interact freely with each other without the fear hanging behind their minds that something might happen. Something might happen if I interact with different races, different cultures, different people around the globe. That fear has to dissipate. And only a global peace can bring that insecurity. It can bridge that insecurity. Number two, today especially, it is very important what I'm speaking right now in today's context. As we are, perceiving the Ukraine-Russia war. So world peace is more important because the effects of conflicts are far-reaching. I'm going to use some serious data here, Dr. Raja Rao. World peace is a need of the hour because conflict shatters lives and stunts development. How? Let us take a look. More than 1.5 billion people live in countries affected by violent conflict. Do you know that? 1.5 billion, that's a big number. Out of that, 59.5 million are currently forcibly displaced worldwide. They are refugees, of which you'll be surprised to know half are children. They are not adults. So just imagine the status, just imagine their mental state. As a clinical psychologist, I can feel the empathy. No low-income conflict-affected country has achieved a single one of the UN Millennium Development Goals, which expires this autumn. So peace-building approaches, including mediation and diplomacy, dialogue and participation, are an essential part of today's modern world, which I always propagate. So I would like to world peace is like an oxygen. It has to be sought at any cost, and the reason are conflict resolution and to save million lives which are shattered as of now. Over to Dr. Raja Rao.
That's so nice. Comparing peace with oxygen, that's really fantastic. Really, because we cannot survive. We cannot survive without oxygen. In the same way, we cannot survive without peace even. That's so great. But in the context of, if we see Russia and Ukraine, what is happening? Because in the beginning days, we can see every country and all media, they were all really, they created a lot of sensation. But see, nowadays it's normalized. The pandemic is normalized. The war is normalized. If we ignore fire, it will burn the entire forest. If we ignore the war, it can devastate the entire planet. They have to be very careful when there is war. So presently, of course, it seems the world is ignoring, but we have to be very careful as a citizen, as a global citizen. It is our responsibility. So, how do you see, Anuja ji, we are coming to you. How do you see the war between Russia and Ukraine? Is it paving a way to Third World War? What do you think of? How far we are from Third World War? How do you see the war between Russia and Ukraine?
Okay, thank you so much. So the context is definitely jarring. In Ukraine, Russia's aimless war is now over 3 months old and has killed more than 4,000 innocent civilians. Meanwhile, China has quietly militarized the Asian seas, and across much of the world, nationalist ego are on the rise. But if there is one thing that I learned very early on about the global geopolitics, it is that there is never a black and white yes or no answer to most questions concerning it. Everyone I meet seems to think that the Ukraine war could just be the opening, shots of World War III. So, in fairness, the countries have previously hurtled into a world war over far less. In 1914, if we see, the murder of an understated Austrian, archduke lit the fuse on the First World War. Yet the war in Ukraine is far less explosive than most people think. So we see the initial pretext for the war was a purported threat of NATO expansion right to its borders. Ironically, that has come to have a greater probability now than it did before. So this war, to prevent it, Finland and Sweden have junked decades of neutrality and applied for NATO membership too. So if they succeed, many believe Russia will attack them. But it's not so simple. In truth, Russia has struggled in Ukraine. In its early days, Moscow tried to, go straight for the jugular and take the capital city. But that attempt was botched and it was replaced by the man in charge of this war. He has since wound down his ambition to consolidate territory in eastern Ukraine. So if we see the details, war with Finland and Sweden would be suicidal for Russia, especially because it risks wider confrontation with far more powerful militaries. China, on the other hand, is far scarier. If we see, Jinping is not only as vain as Putin, he is also far more resources at his disposal than Russia's sputtering economy has ever permitted. While much of the world watches Ukraine, it has quietly expanded China's military footprint in the seas, including through seeking treaties with Pacific Island states that might allow the deployment of troops. So what about spark of World War III? That may depend on China's economic woes too. Thanks to the government's ham-handed zero-COVID policy which came, China's economy has suffered immensely this year, and a fresh wave may revive those dilemmas. So with that in mind, it may be decided that a war with Taiwan and the US is not worth the risk. But he might also decide that a war with Taiwan could re-establish his floundering popularity and take attention of the economy. So if we see for years, rising nationalism has unleashed a pandemic of repression and majority violence across much of South and Southeast Asia, impacting nearly 3 billion people, if we see. So continued populist authority across countries, as disparate as Myanmar and the Philippines, could produce hundreds of millions of refugees in the years ahead. So this sparking war between nations and the world's most densely populated region, communal violence is an extremely underrated political risk, we see. So we can say, moral of the story, the prospect of a World War III depends as much as on power politics as on how crazy each dictator or democratically elected populist authority people can get within his or her own country? I think it justifies your question now.
Yes. We'll see from the perspective of Dr. Supriya Kumaravelan ji. Ji, how do you see the war between Russia and Ukraine, and how far we are from to the war of Third World War? Just any guess.
Thank you for this lovely question, and I would love to talk on this topic. First, we are talking about Russia and Ukraine, and what is my personal thinking, you can say personal thinking about this, that it is totally your dominancy to acquire that particular country under your territory. What Russia has done to Ukraine. And Russia is a very powerful country, the world knows. Even I was seeing the news when it has just spread it like a fire. And I used to ask to the people why other countries are not coming in support of Russia, Ukraine. And I will get only one answer. Who will stand against Russia, because it is the most powerful country. So this is the war happened just to acquire that particular country under your region, your reign, and also it is a matter of ego. Well, ego, when we talk about this particular word, it is the first and the foremost word for every war. If we see the back end, or we see the backspace, the reason, the roots are in your ego. Now, when role model we are talking about, suppose if tomorrow Anuja ji, you or ma'am will do some good things, as a person, I will get some inspiration from you as a role model. Now, what happens generally, we all are human beings and we have a tendency to acquire the negative qualities first, then the positive. When we are talking about World War III and how we are close, how close are we? So, first of all, this is a question mark and it's a futuristic question. But it has been said, your future will only decide on the basis of your present. And the present situation, when I see with this war, totally an egoistic war. Totally, you want to acquire something like what Russia has done to Ukraine. 4,000 innocent civilians just gone. One hand, you're talking about development, nations, science, technology, and other hand, you are killing innocent people. And when I saw those dead bodies in social media, it just came as a forwarded message. I was shocked. We are talking about G7 countries and all big countries. But a big country like Russia has this much, not sense, I will say, a very common sense. Then I think stopping a World War III will not be under any control and it has to be stopped. World War III or any war doesn't mean only for killing the people, but also killing your country GDP, your economy, your peace, your prosperity, and that particular country will go back 25 years back. Then I ask one question to everyone and all the live viewers. If your country kept on falling down because of your deeds, who will be the responsible person to uplift your country? So it is all we think, ego, clashes, your conflicts, you're in a cat race to move forward, and a cutthroat competition to have this, to have that. As Dr. Anuja said, like seeing the Russia-Ukraine, China will focus now for Taiwan to capture it. So one country is becoming and giving that inspiration to other countries. Why this inspiration is on negative part? As Vasudha ji has also said about positivity. So if we focus something constructive, I think we can stop World War III and we should stop. And then that question will not come, how close are we? How successful we are we now to stop this World War which is
But
going
Supriya ji, is
into
there
that
any
direction.
possibility? What my question is there any possibility? Of course, whatever you said, if it is implemented, okay. But there is no one to implement because they are expecting
Yeah.
war. So,
War.
yes,
we
is
can
there any
say-
possibility in coming days? That's what I am asking. What is your opinion about that?
Yes, Dr. Raja Rao ji. Possibility, I will say only one thing. If every citizen of all the country, whether it is India, Australia, Ukraine or Russia, will try to change himself or herself and not to spread the negativity on social media or try to create some violence among themselves or create the ambience into a negative one, that particular step can stop this. And the best thing is you can reach now to each and every house today on the message. If you just put a small message on social media, it will be viral. And that is the best, you can say, the best platform to convey your message. That's, as a human being, as a citizen of India, I can say, to protect this, to stop this, first we should take the initiative. Rather, we should expect from our government to take the initiative. Government will make big plans, big norms, and all plans will be under the file. But who is the person who can take out these files? Implementation of the rules and policies. That is each and every citizen of India or of any other country. So that's all I can say. And once again, I will pass my dice to ma'am. Yeah.
Dr. Pallavi Prakash, ma'am, what is your opinion about the Russia and Ukraine war and how far we are from Third World War? What is your guess?
Absolutely. I would like to show two views, two perspectives, Number one, as an international motivator, as a global leader, only in the morning I wrote today, just listen to it carefully. If we remove E with the word ego, what is left? Go. Right? So if we remove E with the word ego, just go. So if each and every person removes the word E, we can go and achieve anything under the sun. Trust me, guys. I have done this all my life. You have to be a very, very humble person. You have to be a human first. Human approach is the need of the hour. My dear friends, this is not the century for accusation. This is not the times for creating and enlarging boundaries by suppressing others. No, we are here in 21st century, my dear friends, isn't it? And are we talking about, moving towards World War III? Sad. It is. What is the use of education which we have received all through this century? We are a civilized global community, right? We are considered to be so. So why the same civilized global community still indulges in, this kind of accusations, suppressions, tortures, and manifestations of a global platform which is only show devastations and nothing else? Why? Number one, I am raising a question. So, number one, if all of us remove the word E with the go, these questions, the mindset would change, and the global, who are global leaders? Who are these politicians? They are human first. If the mindset changes, these kind of wars, acquisitions, and the global problems would not evolve at the first, right? Number two, the reality check. The question, coming to the question Dr. Raja Rao is, put. Are we heading towards World War III? Now, I'm a political analyst also on various TV channels in India. So now let me come to the reality check, all right? So number one is two important nations, that is US and China, they are just standing on the edge, right? So they're taking a very safe side. So my take is that until China has its own reason, I would like to echo the thoughts of Anju, Malik ji and Dr. Supriya also, that China has own reasons, for standing on the edge. And US is playing a very diplomatic role. All of us know that. So by the time these two countries just stay on the edge, World War III is not going to happen, to be very honest. And I'm telling that straightforward. All right, that is my take. And that comes out of intensive research. I keep talking on various channels on this issue every night, right, on Indian television. So this is coming from something which I've closely observed. All right, the World War III is not going to happen until and unless the seclusion is only confined to a particular territory, that is Russia and Ukraine. All right, until unless the active nations, they actively get involved, as in World War II, the history says that it's not going to happen. Straight answer to the straight question, right? But as a clinical psychologist and as an international motivator, I've already voiced my opinion why these questions should crop up. Do we call ourselves as civilized? Think about it.
Dr. Pallavi ji, thank you so much for your
Awesome,
positivity.
Pallavi ji. I really reciprocate the same. And one thing I would like to add here, we are talking about civilization, globalization. And at one end, we are doing these nitty-gritty, real pathetic things. Then how you are a civilized country?
Absolutely.
You say India is a developing country.
Yes.
And you yourself call us a very developed country, this and that, blah, blah, blah. So this is called a developed country. My question is, now if Raja Rao ji will call Mr. Prutin, I'm going to ask this question to him too. Yeah. And Raja Rao ji, please call him too. We are going to blast him.
Yes,
we would love to. We would love to question him. Yeah,
Definitely.
Sure. I'll answer your question. But anyway, I agree with Dr. Pallavi Prakash ji. Not I agree with, but I'm very happy. If really there is no war, as you said, there will be peace unless and until China and the US arise, then very happy. But I say that it takes only 1 second. For devastation, for construction, it takes centuries. For building, it takes centuries. For destruction, it takes only seconds. Because if you observe the war between Russia and Ukraine, they are not using their full potential. But if something goes wrong from at least one side, you know how would be the devastation. So we should not be blind with our beliefs, but we should be constructive. So let us hope for the safe side, there won't be any world war. At the same time, we should be very careful. Okay, anyway, we have one watchman, one big brother, one guide, and one who can lead all the nations together with the title UNO. Because after Second World War, all nations sit together to protect or to prevent all the upcoming wars. So that's the United Nations. Actually, in one of the meetings, former president of USA, Donald Trump said that this United Nations is meant for parties and awards. That's what he said. They only celebrate and they only share awards. They are not doing that. They are not at all doing anything. It is what he said when he was the president of US. So when the word dialogue comes from the world number one president, world number one nation, it should be it should be considered, it should be thought, it should be discussed. We should not be one-sided, but it should be discussed. That's what I'm saying. As he said, so that it won't be any fact. But at the same time, we should not neglect it. So, what is the role of UN in preventing the wars? What is it doing? And have you had any guess, Anuja, Malik ma'am? Do you have any guess on United Nations role and what it is doing?
Yeah, we can say, yes, that, the UN, United Nations, was created in 1945 following the devastations of the Second World War with one central mission, the maintenance of international peace and security. So the UN accomplishes this by working to prevent conflict, helping parties in conflict make peace, deploying peacekeepers, and creating the conditions to allow peace to hold and flourish. So these activities often overlap and should reinforce one another to be effective. So the UN Security Council has the primary, responsibility for international peace and security. The General Assembly and the Secretary General plays major important and complementary roles along with other UN offices and bodies. So over 72 years, the UN peacekeeping has evolved to meet the demands of different conflicts and the changing political landscape, born at the time when Cold War rivalries frequently paralyzed the Security Council. The United Nations peacekeeping goals were primarily limited to maintaining ceasefires and stabilizing situations on the ground, so that efforts could be made at the political level to resolve the conflicts by peaceful means. So at the moment, all sides are showing restraint. They are pushing each other to see how far they would go. So when Putin threatened to invade Ukraine, no one put troops there to support that country, if we see. So he invaded. He then faced sanctions which were cause problems for the Russian economy. Plus, they trained and are now, arming Ukraine also. So the Chinese leadership really wants Taiwan, not for any real reason, which Supriya ma'am, later on added those lines, not for any real reason other than whoever unites the country gets to be the leader. So I think this role, it's of very immense importance. Thank you.
Priya ji,
Yes, I will say that I agree to Ms. Anuja's point. Yes, UN was created in 1945, but with what mission? It had a mission to maintain international peace and security. That was the job of UN, which we all know, in maintaining the world peace. If you talk about past, this is my personal view, which is coming from the heart, and I will be very blunt, very straightforward. So when we talk about the past and a few of the world wars that happened, it was successful. It was when it used to just be a peacekeepers, as Anuja said, about prevent conflict, helping parties in maintaining that conflict, and they say about the conditions. The conditions are very important to allow peace, to allow flourish, and when these conditions will not prevail, whatever you do, whatever you make plans, you make agenda, that has to be failed. Because if your roots are not strong, you cannot create a huge tree and you expect fruits. Now we say when the fight, the war happening, why this country is not helping, why this country is not helping. We say brotherhood and all the goody words. But my question, India also, Ukraine has asked help. What happened to that help? And what will do United Nations in maintaining world peace? United Nations had done a good role in the past, but this is my personal opinion, and I'm saying very frankly, over 72 years, UN peacekeeping has evolved the most demands of the different conflicts, a changing political leadership, but that leadership is failed if I set the example of Ukraine and Russia. And this is my personal view, which I am opening on this great platform. Mr. Raja Rao ji, you have given a great opportunity for me to explore today, all the things which was there.
yes, the reason is to explore. Yes,
to explore
and explore.
Explore also. So exploring and exploding, both things are happening. And I will say only one thing. We are very good. Every country is very good in making agendas, policies, this and that. But which country is following truly from the heart? We talk about humanity. We talk about this. We talk about peace. And we create a UN logo, world peace. But seeing the sets of today, great example of you certainly. It had done a good role, but currently, God knows. So that's what I can say, and I will pass this. And I am used to keep to Dr. Pallavi.
Because Dr. Pallavi Prakash ma'am can conclude perfectly. Great, ma'am, over to you.
Absolutely, absolutely. I was waiting for my turn, and because I normally have a different take on the topics, basically. Here, I would like to echo thoughts of Anjuji and Dr. Supriya both partially, right? That yes, I agree that UN has done a remarkable, commendable work in the past, right? We have seen the efforts in peacekeeping and peacemaking during the World War II. We have read about it, right? But reality check again. What is the situation right now? Is the big tree trying to crumble? Is the big tree not able to shelter small birds? Is the big tree just sheltering few of them? I'm sure the questions which I am tabling right now is coming straight to your heart. Is UN playing a partial role? And this is definitely, I would repeat, these are my personal opinion, right? So, number one, I would like to share a remarkable data. Okay, so let's see very quickly what UN has done in the past, right? So 69 peacekeeping observer missions to the world's most troubled spots over the past 6 decades. Commendable, isn't it? Since 1948, the UN has helped end conflicts and foster reconciliation by conducting successful peacekeeping operations in dozens of countries. The UN Security Council, as all of us know, UNSC, is the organ, is the main brainchild, which has the primary responsibility of maintaining international peace and security. But even if the record is too good from the past, but the most evident question is, the parents should be not partial to any of the children, right? If US is directly or indirectly involved, then UN has to be fair enough, right? It has to protect all the children in the same way. This is my opinion. And I've been, I'm a political analyst also. So this is a fact that in the present Russian and Ukraine war, UN had to escalate yourself. The important body which we all look at, when there's any issue in world peace, the name which comes is UN. So we look at, we seek help, we pay a lot of respect, then it has to live up to its word. So in short, I'm sure that, I have, hit the button, and definitely I'm also hoping that in a couple of months, UN would leverage and take the matters very seriously and intervene to quickly build up peace between Ukraine and Russia. That's my take.
Very nice. And one more point I would love to add to Pallavi ji. She said absolutely correct. UN first foremost responsibility is maintenance of humanity. But where is this humanity went when Ukraine has asked the help from the developed countries?
That's what I meant. Yes. I'm sorry to interrupt, Dr. Supriya. That's what exactly I meant, because, I hinted that the parent has to be fair to all the children.
Love right? Those lines.
So that's exactly what I meant.
Super.
Thank you.
Okay, so we are coming to an end part. Last one more question. So Anuja ji, we are starting from you as usual. What is the human approach? Because we should not trust in leaders, because whatever they say, whatever they promise, they do as per their willing, because there are so many political constraints or whatever they may be. So, as a citizen, as a global citizen, because there is a dialogue, we can say that with great power comes great responsibility. Professor Dr. Anuja Malik. So, it's not just Anuja Malik, Professor Dr. Anuja Malik. So, it is a great responsibility. Okay, you have a great power also in the form of knowledge. So, what is a global citizen's responsibility? What is human approach towards establishing peace?
Yes. So if we see what is the human approach to world peace. So in this modern times, now it's clear that one's precious life is not safe. So no former generation has had to experience so much bad news as we face today. So then should make any sensitive and compassionate person question seriously the progress of our modern world. And it is ironic that the most serious problems emanate from the more, industrially advanced societies. Science and technology have worked wonders in many fields, but the basic human problems remain the same. So this universal education does not seem to have fostered goodness, but only mental restlessness and discontent instead. So there is no doubt about the increase in our material and technology, but somehow this is not sufficient. Have not yet succeeded in bringing about peace and happiness or in overcoming suffering. So we can only conclude that there must be something seriously wrong with our progress and development. And if we do not check it in time, there could be disastrous consequences for the future of humanity. And I am not at all against science and technology. They have contributed immensely, experience of humankind. So to our material comfort and well-being and to our greater understanding of the world we live in. But if we give too much emphasis to, science and technology, as we are in danger of losing touch with those aspects of human knowledge and understanding that aspire towards, honesty and altruism. So science and technology, though capable of creating comforts, cannot replace the age-old spiritual and humanity values that have largely shaped the world's civilization. So it's logical to try to strike a balance between material developments on the one hand, if you ask me, and the development of, spiritual human values on the other. So in order to bring about this great adjustment, we need to revive our humanity values as well. So I'm sure that many people, share my concern about the present worldwide moral crisis and will join in my appeal to all the humanity and religious practitioners who also share this concern to help make our societies more compassionate, just and equitable. I do not speak as a Buddhist or even as a Tibetan, nor do I speak as an expert or an international, politically correct or, but as a human being, as an upholder of the humanity values that are the bedrock not only of the Buddhism but also of the great world religions. So from this perspective, I share with you my personal outlook. Universal humanity is essential to solving global problems. Compassion is the pillar of world peace. All world religions are already for world peace in this way, as all are humanity or whatever ideology. So each individual has a universal responsibility, to shape institutions to serve human needs. So I justify your question. Thank you so much. Over to Supriya. I give her the dice.
Yes, Anuja, and I really liked your dice when you are passing to me. And my opinion always come from my heart. I will say, ask everyone who is watching this debate show. And since it's a debate, we are talking about human approach to world peace. But I tell you, most of the human beings, not everyone, most of the human beings have Janus face, double faced. One hand, we are talking about peace, prosperity, but on other hand, we are the people who creates problem. Seriously, when Dr. Raja Rao has said this COVID, now COVID is not that much hi-fi disease, but when we used to hear We will not die with the COVID, but we will die with the heart attacks. That much fear people have spread on social media and news, TV. Sometimes I used to feel in March 2020 that I should throw my TV out of my house because it has created those panic things. And a human approach as a global citizenship, first thing is stop creating the mess by your own. Stop spreading the negativities by your own. And I will request, first of all, from every country media, news channels, TV reporters, just for your job, you will put a lot of salt and pepper to your news and you will just publish and you will make the public fear. And to present this data, I will say only one thing. Fear, tension should make you more go away from the peace and create lot of anxiety, depression, anxiety. That is the main virus, not some other virus. First thing. We are blaming, sometimes we are telling on other hand, science and technology is doing wonders. I am grateful to science and technology. But sometimes when this COVID started, we all are on virtual platform. Let me give an example. Earlier we will say, stay away from mobile, stay away from laptop. It is very hazardous to your eyes, health and ear. Right now what? You, me, everyone. But see, it's a way of perception. How you take the things. As I said, if I will give you an apple and a knife, and I tell you to cut the apple, eat it and become healthy. But if you cut your hand and the blood comes on and you will say, this is the fault of knife, not me. So that is a human approach. If a human wants to approach towards world peace, first thing, stop spreading the rumors. Believe in science and technology, the good parts, as Anuja ji has said, about science and technology have worked wonders. But those wonders should be taken in a positive way. I am sorry, but I should not say or speak. I am thinking when there is a rumor of lab virus, why can't we create those viruses which spreads positivity? That is not the role of science and technology. My question is this. We are talking about developed countries creating, we can't create anything in lab. Then please create the things which is good for your country. Create the virus which spreads positivity. Create the virus which spreads a world peace. And that is the best human approach, which need not any Google search, which need not any book study. And I say only one thing. I don't know how this debate is going, but this is the topic which I would love to speak from my heart. Human approaches towards world peace. First, change yourself. And if you want to attain peace, spread away from rumors, spread away from all the negativities, and spread away, be away, strain away, refrain away yourself from the fake news. What is in your mind and thoughts? Your thoughts matters a lot. And your thoughts are true, definitely you can achieve the peace which your soul wants. So that's all I can say. And once again, the dice is passed to Dr. Pallavi Prakash.
Great, great. Right. So the dice is really, it's an interesting dice. So am I connected, Dr. Rao? Yeah.
Yes.
Please carry on.
Am I audible, Rao?
Yes.
Absolutely. Great. So I would like to share 3 points, 3 important tablets of wisdom as human approach, because I'm a clinical psychologist also, and I'm known for motivating youth especially. So now expectations are low and the acceptance is more. When you accept this world as it is, are global issues which pertaining today. So I'm getting disconnected. Tablets of wisdom as human approach. Number one, when you stop expecting others to be that change agent and try and be the change agent yourself. Number two is when you
a philosophical touch, giving humanity, compassion, the way you have taken that peace concept into a next level, because it has come from the heart, it has come from compassion. Your speech has come. That's why I said that it is you are a philosopher today. And today we have Dr. Supriya Kumaravelan as a leader, not as a philosopher, but philosopher is Anuja, Malik, the role is taken by Dr. Supriya Kumaravelan ji as a leader. You know the attitude of a leader, man, you will die soon. But no problem, I'll be with you. Which means I can protect you. So she has given all the exploring and the exploding facts, but no problem. If you do these things, then everything will set right. So she has given what are the defects, what are the malfunctioning areas that are there in that peace concept. At the same time, she has given loads of happiness. She said the word explode. Of course, she exploded and she exploded today. That's really fantastic, Excellency. And you said about the fact about media. Really, media is adding pepper and salt. That's a fact. Because in 2020 and 2021, many people have died because of the media. Instead of creating awareness, they inculcated fear into the minds of people. Even I almost with fear. I thought, of course, there are fear factor. At the same time, there is a remedy. You have given both. Thank you so much for the approach you brought today to this program. And Dr. Pallavi Prakash ji, right. So you are something special and something unique today. As you are a motivational speaker, as you are a life coach, as you are a psychologist. Because psychologist always gives positivity, but I never expect this much positivity. Even in the war time, even at the war, she has given so much, loads of positivity that is unique. Because giving positivity to an engineering student, you will get a job, no problem, I am with you, and we motivate a lot. That's a different. In 3-hour speech, he'll get so much of confidence, and but you have given confidence to the world. If someone listens to your speech, they think that we are in safe hands. So that is the feeling that you have created. 3 people with 3 different approaches, but our aim is one, a peaceful world. Really great. The program is, I feel very happy because I learned a lot, because I feel that I am always a student. So I have been learning different perspective. Of course, I know something that is my own knowledge, but when we share knowledge, it has been expanding. Really great. On behalf of Times India TV, on behalf of Times India TV audience, I